Hello, my beautiful movie people. Really wasn't that long ago since we did a previous side flick, but so much news has come up, we've got to do another one. Some of the stuff we're going to be talking about here today is we got an update on the It prequel series coming to HBO. We're going to be talking about a certain casting for the Thunderbolts movie that got a lot of fans speculating to a character that could show up in it. Some rumors surrounding how Tom Holland could be included in the latest Into the Spider-Verse movie. Really, that along with so much more, so leave your opinions down below with everything we discuss here today. And I don't usually annoy you with this, but I'm going to today. Hit that subscribe button, man. It absolutely would make my day and warm my silly little heart. But okay, with that out of the way, let's jump into our first movie news story here today. So, you guys might have heard me talk about a couple weeks ago, Eli Roth is working on a Thanksgiving horror movie. This is based on a fake movie trailer that was in the film Grindhouse. You can check out the movie trailer on YouTube, but like I said before, make sure you're watching that trailer alone, because let's just say some bagooglies will be popping out in your face. Don't want your mama catching you watching that. And I was actually kind of mildly curious to see that movie because we don't get a lot of Thanksgiving slasher movies out there. Well, we just got an update here today that brought my excitement from here to Deadline here is reporting that Addison Rae lands the lead role in Eli Roth's Thanksgiving for Spyglass Media. Now, I'm gonna say off the top, nothing against Addison Rae. I think she's gorgeous. She's an influencer online, got her startup on TikTok. But there is something about hearing famous TikToker lead role in a horror movie where I go, okay, we'll see how that goes. Like, it's smart on one hand, especially with like a person like Addison Rae who has tons of millions of followers out there. That already guarantees a giant chunk of people will check this movie out. But you also pair that up with what I've seen her capable of in the Netflix movie He's All That. Not sure if she's ready to be final girl material, but hey, I'm happy to be proven wrong. I'm gonna be cheering for you, Addison Rae, but I am curious to hear from you guys. When you hear the term famous TikToker lands lead role in a horror movie, does that get you excited? Does that get you down? Moving on to our next topic here that is about to make me one of the most embarrassing movie review channels on YouTube. We got Variety reporting that a new Lord of the Rings movie is set at Warner Brothers. The reason I was mentioning this would be one of the most embarrassing stories for me is because now I am forced to admit to you beautiful people out there, I have never seen any Lord of the Rings movies. They're on my watch list. I've said that ever since I was like frickin' 12 and I've never gotten around to it. I'm sure I would love them and think they're wonderful movies, but aside from all that, I know Lord of the Rings is a very beloved trilogy. People who have seen it always are so shocked and look at me with disgust when they found out I haven't seen any of them. So knowing that, there must be some reservation amongst the Lord of the Ring fans going, they're gonna try again? They're gonna make more? I know the Hobbit movies weren't that loved. The only statements that we've gotten from someone like Peter Jackson, who worked on the original trilogy, just said, we look forward to speaking with them further to hear their vision for the franchise moving forward. So yeah, I wish I could give you speculation or theorizing on what could be next, but I'm not gonna pretend like I know anything in the Lord of the Rings world. This is mainly where I just want to inform you people of it, and you can yell at me in the comments, but also, tell me what's a movie out there that everyone has seen that you have yet to see and you're embarrassed to mention it. Along with how do you feel about new Lord of the Rings movies headed our way. Bringing us here to a story that, look, I feel like we've talked about this 10 or 7 times, but yesterday it was like big news, like no one has heard it before. We got an update on the It prequel series titled Welcome to Derry that has been in development for the longest time, where we finally have the official confirmation HBO Max has greenlit it and given it a series order, meaning this thing is no longer a figment of our imagination. We will be seeing this. Some of the details provided in the article do let us know that even Andy Muschietti, who directed the first and second It movie, will be directing the first episode and a couple of other episodes. There's no exact numbering on how many we can expect there to be. I'm gonna guess somewhere between 8 or 9. We also had even Stephen King finally comment on this situation, where he said, I'm excited that the story of Derry, Maine's most haunted city, is continuing, and I'm glad Andy Muschietti is going to be overseeing the frightening festivities, along with the brain trust, including his talented sister, Barbara. Red balloons all around. It's nice to have Stephen King say this, because we have heard before that he's not really going to be attached in the making of it. He's just going to sign off on it and say, y'all do what y'all want. The only new thing to talk about this series, other than what we've heard about the plot, that this will take place in the early days of Pennywise coming to Derry and then eventually taking on the form of a clown and meeting his first victims and whatnot, is do we think there is a big distinction between HBO quality an HBO Max quality, because all the articles are making it clear this is an HBO Max show. Not an HBO show, an HBO Max show. You know, to give you some frame of reference, The Last of Us is an HBO show. That's not an HBO Max show, that's an HBO show. HBO has held kind of like a high standard name when it comes to their shows. And in my mind, I can't really think of like an HBO Max series that has stood out. Not saying that they have been bad, but I find it interesting that Warner Brothers wants to go the route of marketing this as an HBO Max show and not just an HBO show. I don't know, this is where I throw it off to you guys. You hear HBO Max is gonna be the ones providing to us Welcome to Derry. It's official, it's happening. What are you excited to see in the series? Bringing us here to talk a little bit about Marvel, we got a small update on Avengers Kang Dynasty. It's kind of cool now that we're starting to get closer and closer to this movie. Still feels like super far away. We can have some minor updates on it. And well, Jeff Loveness, who wrote Ant-Man the Wasp Quantumania and is also gonna be writing Avengers Kang Dynasty, that might scare some people. They were recently doing an interview with comicbook.com and they were asked, who are you excited to write in the movie? What some faces we can expect to see? And he replied by saying, Namor, man. I'm excited to write Namor. Basically confirming to us Namor will be making an appearance and have some sort of role in Avengers Kang Dynasty. There might be people out there going like, no freaking duh, Chris. But the MCU has gotten so vastly large since the end of Endgame. Like, you still think about that giant crowd you saw at the end of Avengers Endgame, and now there's even more people coming in Avengers Kang Dynasty. I think it's redundant to complain and worry about, oh, so many characters, how are they going to be able to hold this up? Marvel has shown us they can handle a ton of characters out there. It'll just be a matter of, will each character have its moment to shine? Knowing that the director is very fond of Namor and that he's probably going to give him some badass scenes, I can't wait. By far one of my favorite newly introduced characters into the MCU, so to see him probably go against Kang or a version variant of him, very excited to see that go down. The other talk amongst fans in the community is like, what is the lineup going to look like in Avengers Kang Dynasty? There's a couple of faces you can pull out there, but there's others where I'm not sure if they'll make it into the movie. Like, I was mentioning Moon Knight. I know Moon Knight has been an Avenger in the comics, but it's like, I just can't see him joining these likes of characters just yet. And I'm curious if you guys have another newly introduced character in the MCU, whether it be on a Disney Plus series or in the recent movie where you're like, I just don't see them fitting into the latest Avenger movie. I think for sure bets is like the Werewolf and Werewolf by Night or Man-Thing. Don't expect to see them in Avengers Kang Dynasty. But then you have someone like White Vision, you know, could he show up in there, or are they gonna do something else with him? Scarlet Witch, we don't believe she's dead. She's definitely gonna be coming back, but will it be in Avengers Kang Dynasty? This is where I throw it off to you guys. Are you happy to hear Namor is gonna be part of Avengers Kang Dynasty? And who are some characters you don't see fitting into the story of that movie? Sticking on the Marvel train for a little longer, we got a nice little casting update for the upcoming Thunderbolts movie. You know, there's a lot of naysayers for this film thinking it might be a time waster, and while they could be totally right, I'm actually really looking forward to the Thunderbolts. I think it's got some potential, and I'm even more curious to see who this team will be fighting off. Well, it looks like we might have just gotten the idea of who the villain of the film will be, because we have Deadline reporting Thunderbolts Steven Yeun joins Marvel Studios' pick in key role. In this article, they have it as Yeun is set to join Marvel Studios' Thunderbolts in a part that is not only significant to this film, but could also play a role going forward in future films of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The reason I mentioned he could possibly be the villain of the film is because we had other articles mentioning that he would face off against the Thunderbolts, so that's why I called him a villain, but he could very likely turn out being not the villain of the film, and it could be someone else. But yeah, I've loved Steven Yeun. Of course, I was first introduced to him in The Walking Dead as Glenn, one of my favorite characters, and was also one of the reasons I stopped watching The Walking Dead, because you know what happens to him. Yes, I'm one of those, okay? Just hate Chris today. No Lord of the Rings. Stop watching Walking Dead. Big L's everywhere. But I am pretty happy to see him in the Thunderbolts, and right now the community is split on who he could be. Since there's no idea on the role he'll be playing, we have two options right now. It's been heavily rumored that Sentry will end up being one of the villains for the Thunderbolts, this sort of like Superman-powered being that, if they use the comic book version, would definitely wipe out the Thunderbolts in one swoop. Or what is most popular popular right now, Amadeus Cho, marked as the 7th smartest person in the world. This was a brilliant scientist that ended up also becoming the Hulk. In the comics, he's known as the totally awesome Hulk because he has a lot more control of his power without that other rage-filled Hulk persona that Bruce Banner sometimes has to deal with. He's a fairly new addition to the comics, and even if you don't know his origin, the MCU will probably create their own version like they have already for so many of the new characters they've introduced. And for the Thunderbolts movie, it kind of makes sense. It's been heavily rumored that the movie will be about, introducing people like Red Hulk in it, or it will deal with a lot more of other Hulks out there. In the MCU, the Hulk formula is very similar to like the Super Soldier Serum. So if he does end up playing Amadeus Cho, I could see the government hiring the 7th smartest person to try and work on a recreation of the Hulk formula, is successful, becomes it himself, and then the story can continue on from there. Again, that's all speculation, but that's the two characters that people believe he could be, and I'd be down for either one. And if he does end up being this totally awesome Hulk, and it comes true that his role will be larger in the MCU, he'll probably be the new Hulk of the MCU, which I guess I really wouldn't mind, but somewhere in Thor Ragnarok, they just messed up Bruce Banner's Hulk. He had such potential to be such a cool character, and they just stopped knowing what to do with him. So yeah, I'm down for another Hulk, but I still want my old Hulk to get some justice. That's why I throw it off to you guys. Who do you think Stephen Yeun could be playing in the Thunderbolts movie? Bringing us here into a rumor involving Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Super excited to see this movie, and it's been said for the longest time that there could possibly be a cameo for Tom Holland's Spider-Man. That really shouldn't be that big a surprise to fans. I could see them definitely doing that. It was always the question of how do they pull that off? We've already heard from the creative team in Across the Spider-Verse that whenever Miles jumps to different universes, the animation style will change to fit that universe. That immediately got fans thinking, well, if he meets Tom Holland, we're going to see them in live action. We're going to see that happen. Then others were maybe more realistic and go, no, it'll still be animated, but it'll look like realistic animation. Well, we have here Jeff Snyder, a reliable journalist in the industry, not a scooper, an actual journalist, come out and say that the reason the film was delayed last year was so that they could get Tom Holland in the movie, saying, I'd heard that part of the delay in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse was about getting Tom Holland in that movie, and that one of the dimensions that Miles could end up going to is a live action dimension with Tom Holland's Spider-Man. To me, that makes things even more interesting when you hear the rumors we've been hearing about with Spider-Man 4, that finally will introduce us to a version of Miles and start building him up in the MCU. If we're about to get a live action Tom Holland appearance, that means Miles Morales in the movie will also have to go live action. His appearance changes along with jumping into each multiverse, and that makes me wonder, who will be the actor to portray him? I know Caleb McLaughlin is a popular choice amongst people. I would not mind him at all. And I do like this idea of going into live action. Will it maybe be a little weird? You're watching an animated movie, then out of nowhere, oh, we're in real life. It's happened before. But with that happening there, that could just be a fun little cameo. I don't think it'll be like a huge part of the movie. Probably will be like 10 seconds total. Will that have major implications to then who will be playing Miles in Spider-Man 4 if those rumors come true that the MCU is wanting to introduce him there? That's where I throw it off to you guys. You hear about these rumors involving Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Do you like the idea of having a quick live action sequence so we can get a Tom Holland cameo? And whatever Miles looks like in live action, do you think that'll be the actor used in the MCU? But that is all the movie news we currently have going on right now, guys. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of my day to watch me talk some movie news. Don't be forgetting to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. Follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.